Before I get into the updates, I think it is important that the country appreciates that the state of the roads is not, Mr. Speaker, it's not the fault of government. It's not the fault of government.
Say that climate change is responsible for all of the potholes in the country is absolute nonsense, and the people don't believe it and they don't accept it, and you're going to pay the consequences of it politically in the months to come.
This is One Avenue, a space for your news, views, reviews, and much more. Welcome back to the space, all hopeful people. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share the content. Turn on your post notification bell so as we drop a content, it will be instantaneously available to use. Bless up all loyal and hopeful people. Welcome back to the Avenue. Thank you very much for your continued support. In today's Views on the Avenue, we will be looking at the showdown between Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader markgolding in Parliament while delivering their speech. Some people in this speech, you will hear Andrew Holness blaming the opposition leader for the bad road condition in the country and blaming climate change condition for the bad road condition. And markgolding is making it clear to him that he is wrong and he is incompetent. Some people, let us get into it and hear what these two men got to say, or these two men got to say. And in the meantime, leave your views and comment in the comment section below. And if you are new here, welcome to the space. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And my people, to get the full understanding of what's going on, I got to listen to the end, honestly. Let's get into it and hear what these men got to say.
Prime Minister, Mike. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to provide an update to this Honourable House and nation on the Government of Jamaica's ongoing effort to address the severe challenges faced by our road network due to heavy rains and adverse weather conditions of 2024. These weather events cause widespread damage to our infrastructure, disrupting critical roadways that are vital for the daily activities and economic well-being of our citizens. Mr. Speaker, before I get into the updates, I think it is important that the country appreciates that the state of the roads is not, Mr. Speaker, it's not the fault of government. It's not the fault of government. Mr. Speaker, that sort of a comment might very well be true. Pothole free by 2003. The reality is that our legacy infrastructure was never designed to withstand what we are seeing today in terms of climate change. I want to repeat that point. Our legacy infrastructure was never designed to withstand what we are seeing today in terms of climate change. This is not a debatable point. The leader of opposition business stood up and essentially supported the point. The rainfall that we are seeing today in terms of climate change is significant. The rainfall that we experienced last year, in particular late last year, was highly unusual and off the charts in terms of the impact on infrastructure. So we are facing two challenges at the same time in terms of our infrastructure. Old and aging infrastructure that was not properly maintained over the last 30 years of underinvestment and worsening And then, Mr. Speaker, the worsening effects of climate change, destroying that infrastructure at an unprecedented rate. Mr. Speaker, those 2 points need to be considered in the conversation about the state of our roads. When we were building roads at a high pace, Mr. Speaker, in the 50s and 60s and late 70s, when our economy collapsed in the 70s, faced great difficulty in the 80s, these roads were not maintained to the state where they could withstand the current climate crises that we now have. So, Mr. Speaker, we have roads that were built 30, 40 years ago, not properly maintained. The surface has deteriorated. The commuting public, number of persons using our roadways has increased. The number of motor vehicles would have increased. The weight of the vehicles that are on our roads would have increased. And now, Mr. Speaker, we have unusual and intense weather events damaging our aged infrastructure. That is a problem, Mr. Speaker, that is not only facing Jamaica, but almost all countries in the region. And I wanted to just point out, so that the country can see that when we say weather and climate is impacting infrastructure, we get a better understanding of it. The graph being displayed here is what is called a heat map. It shows the intensity, Mr. Speaker. It would be an ominous sign because, Mr. Speaker, what that shows is drought. 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 What that shows is drought. What that shows, Mr. Speaker, is drought. So in 2021, it shows you the intensity of the rainfall in November 2021 rain. If you go to November 2022, slide 2022, it would show Mr. Speaker, I really wanted to make this point, so I'm hoping that the person's operating. Okay, there you go. So it shows you the weather changing in 2022. Look at the weather again in 2023. You notice the heat map, not so much drought. 2023, oh Lord, it's looking really nice now. Looking really good now. And look at 2024. Oh my. So you can see, Mr. Speaker, the change in the weather. So it's very important that the public appreciates the impact of weather on infrastructure. And this is the average rainfall using November for the last 4 years. And you can see how that average has changed. So November rainfall 2024 was quite unusual right across the island. It gave us a good shower of rain. So the graph now being displayed shows rainfall island-wide in November 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. It is obvious that 2024 is a complete outlier. The next graph shows the November 2023 and November 2024 rainfall by parish compared with the 30-year average. The 30-year average. Again, it is clear that what we experienced in November 2024 was off the charts. Jamaica is not the only country experiencing these challenges. Mr. Speaker, I would like to read into the record of Parliament the experience of Costa Rica from a news report dated the 22nd of November 2024. The recent heavy rains in Costa Rica have caused significant damage to the country's already deteriorating road network. According to the National Roads Council, many national roads have been affected by issues including landslides, flooding, and severe infrastructure damage. Key problems reported including washed out soil, cracked asphalt, and collapsed slopes. This is exactly what has happened in Jamaica. Authorities warn that the number of affected roads could increase as assessment continues. Engineering experts caution that even with the recent break in rainfall, saturated soil may lead to further landslides and flooding, exacerbating the crisis. This is exactly what happened, particularly in Portland and East Rural and West Rural St. Andrew, and parts of St. Mary as well. The heavy rains have underscored Costa Rica's ongoing challenges with outdated infrastructure and inadequate maintenance. Successive governments have failed to prioritize infrastructure investment, leaving the country's roads vulnerable to extreme weather events. The current damage highlights the long-standing neglect of road networks, which is crucial for Costa Rica's economy and public safety. I just thought I would read this out aloud so that the conversation that is happening about roads, that Jamaicans understand and place themselves in the global context. In fact, I listened to Prime Minister Keir Starmer making almost the parallel points that I have been making about the impact of climate on their roads, appealing to these councils to fix these roads, and seeing reports of protests in the UK, in the United Kingdom. So I make the point here not to excuse ourselves as government. That's not what this is about. No. Because we take responsibility by our actions. We don't only say we are going to fix it, we make the budgetary allocation to fix it. We manage the economy in such a way that we are able to execute the responsibilities. That's what it means to take responsibility, not to make an empty promise that Jamaica will be pothole free by 2003. No, that's not how we do it. No. So, Mr. Speaker, the reality is that the effects of climate change are creating havoc with infrastructure in several countries. This is not a unique problem to Jamaica. What makes matters worse in Jamaica is that our situation is compounded by 30 years of neglect and underinvestment in our infrastructure, including our roads. And if you were to look at when this neglect was most intense, when was this neglect of our roads most intense? I don't need to answer that question. I think every Jamaican knows that when that side is in power, when that side is running the economy, there is no revenues to maintain the roads. So the destruction of the roads, Mr. Speaker, is very well the PNP fault. If they were maintaining the roads from all of those years coming, we wouldn't be in this position. So, Mr. Speaker, I will now provide an update on various road programs, which shows, Mr. Speaker, that unlike that side,
House Leader.
And I'm going to show you what we have done.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that the Prime Minister be given enough time to complete his presentation.
The question is that the Prime Minister be given enough time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Those against? Ayes have it. Mr. Prime Minister, you may continue, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is important that the point be made that if roads are not maintained routinely, their surfaces will deteriorate, and that will cause potholes. So there is a nexus between the ability of a government to generate the revenues to fix the roads. So the state of the roads, Mr. Speaker, is inextricably linked to the state of the economy. There is somehow a thinking that we can fix roads without fixing the economy, without the revenues from the economy. The history has shown, and anyone who wants to go and study it, it will show that the only government that has been able to raise the revenues to fix the roads without borrowing is this government. I throw the challenge. Rebut it. Rebut it. So if they want to rebut it, they can, but come with the facts. So, Mr. Speaker, the government acted decisively in December 2024 to mitigate the damage and begin the restoration of our road network. It is important to note that the heavy rainfall only subsided in early December, which delayed any repairs until after that time. Despite this, the government launched a comprehensive restoration strategy that balances both immediate relief and long-term solutions to enhance the resilience of our infrastructure. To address the urgent needs, the government allocated $6.5 billion, which includes $5 billion for road surface repairs and $1.5 billion for a constituency-based mitigation program launched in late 2024. The first phase of the mitigation program, which coincided with the Christmas season, focused on essential tasks such as cleaning drains, removing debris, and maintaining road verges. As we moved into 2025, the second phase began focusing on patching work across all 63 constituencies. And I'm certain, Mr. Speaker, that in all constituencies there is a flurry of work being done to patch damaged roads, both local roads, community roads, and main roads. And we are going to continue this program right throughout the budget season and after, so that we restore all our roads to a reasonable driving surface. Now, this phase is expected to continue until the end of March 2025. Currently, the mitigation program is 55% complete, and I am confident that we will meet our targets within the planned time frame, providing much-needed relief to our citizens. The $5 billion road surface repair program aims to address surface damage on the most severely affected roads and involves two components under the broader REACH program, as we have described it, and these components are as follows. We have a $3 billion program, and that is split between the NWA being the entity directing that expenditure, and another $1.5 billion, which is directed at constituencies. The thinking is that the MPs should be able to identify those roads that are causing pain points within communities. And the NWA will focus on the roads that are causing pain points, particularly on major roads, roads connecting towns and communities. Then, Mr. Speaker, we announced a $2 billion emergency repair program, and that is entirely driven by the NWA, and that is focused on critical road corridors. And that program has just started. So, Mr. Speaker, there are essentially 3 programs operating to patch and repair roads, and even though we describe it as pothole repairs, oftentimes, Mr. Speaker, what happens is significant resheeting of road surfaces. So it's not fair to describe it only as pothole patching. They have been doing significant resheeting. So let's be clear. The government is responsible for our roads. This government is not shirking responsibility. But it is one thing to talk about responsibility. It's another thing to be able to act on that responsibility. And that is what this government has over any other government. Now, I do take the criticism about the speed of the response. And I must tell you, Mr. Speaker, I am not satisfied that we are moving as fast as we could. The public bureaucracy is hard to maneuver. But I assure you, Mr. Speaker, that we have put in place the necessary measures, and the programs are now picking up pace and they are accelerating. And we will continue to manage them. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is that I call the head of the NWA. And I ask him, give me a report. And then I call my minister, Minister Morgan, and I said, Minister Morgan, go out on the road and see what is happening. So that the reports that I get, I match them against actual observations, because we take it very seriously. There are many issues with the patching of the roads, Mr. Speaker, which we are not satisfied with, but we're going to correct them, and I'm certain that persons would be seeing improvements. We started patching at nights. There is always a concern about patching and leaving the debris on the roadside. If that comes up, any citizens see that, please get in touch with us. That must not happen. Mr. Speaker, there are concerns that have been raised regarding the patching, that the contractors patch a piece, and then there's a little pothole beside it, they leave that little pothole and they've gone to another piece. We have interrogated that. Of course, the claim is that they are being economical. They don't want to focus on the small potholes. They want to focus on the big ones because that makes the driving surface easier. But we have said to them, look, patch the road properly. A small pothole left will become a big one. So just patch it now. So we have changed the modus operandi of those contractors. Mr. Speaker, recognizing the additional strain on our roads, as I said, the emergency $2 billion was allocated to deal with road corridors. 14 grade 1 contractors have been mobilized for this effort under the emergency procurement rules, and progress has been made in such areas as Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Anne, St. Thomas, St. Anne, and Mr. Speaker, the work continues apace. Mr. Speaker, with these immediate measures, we are focused on addressing the most pressing needs. The government remains committed to a long-term vision for sustainable infrastructure development. We fully understand the importance of creating a road network that is durable and resilient, capable of withstanding future challenges, protecting our communities, and supporting economic growth while improving the quality of life for all Jamaicans. To achieve this vision, we commenced construction under the Spark project in December 2024 as promised. This ambitious initiative aims to modernize and strengthen our roadways, ensuring that they are less susceptible to weather events and resilient to future shocks. The main contractor has already been mobilized to undertake works island-wide with the objective of upgrading, not just repairing, but upgrading our road network to meet the demands currently and in the future. I fully acknowledge, Mr. Speaker, the frustration many Jamaicans are experiencing due to the difficult road conditions. To those affected, I assure you that your concerns have been heard. We are committed to addressing these challenges with urgency and determination through both immediate actions and comprehensive long-term planning. Initiatives like Spark reflect our shared commitment to not only repairing the damage, but also building a stronger, more resilient road network for future generations. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the civil servants and contractors who have worked tirelessly, even during the festive season, to ensure the success of these efforts. Their dedication has been instrumental to the progress thus far. And I look forward to their continued hard and efficient working to ensure that these programs are completed on time and on budget. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that we pick up when we go around dealing with the roads is that the public sees the patching program as the immediate response. And there are some persons who would say, well, you know, the patching is of no value. What we want to see is the total upgrading and rehabilitation of the road. And I would just say to the public that the government is doing both things. And I want to again repeat it, put it into context. We are patching the roads, we are making the road surface drivable, and that is our $6.5 billion allocation in the budget. We have another program called the Spark program, and that program is designed to rehabilitate, upgrade, and improve the entirety of the road, which sometimes includes putting water pipes, drainage, and some amount of intersection improvement, road furniture where necessary, and support civil infrastructure, retaining walls, etc. So the concern of the public is well noted, and it is being addressed. So there are two streams of effort. The first stream of effort is to get the road surfaces back to driving condition after this extreme weather event. And the second stream of effort is to improve roads to a very high standard and extend their useful life. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the target is that we will probably have between 600 and 660 roads that will be improved island-wide under the Spark program. That, Mr. Speaker, will have a massive impact. Mr. Speaker, I want to turn now to another stream of effort in terms of the government's road improvement strategy. I wish to take this opportunity to update the House on the special CAPEX program. A few years ago, in 2022, the government introduced a comprehensive urban transportation initiative aimed at alleviating traffic congestion in urban centers by addressing road capacity and enhancing access. 6 key projects were identified for development, including Grange Lane, Brayton Helshaw Main Road, East Kings House Lady Musgrave Road, Arthur Wint Drive, the new Portmore access from Mandela Highway, and the widening of the Sandy Gully Bridge. This initiative is designed to improve urban infrastructure in Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine, benefiting approximately 1.2 million Jamaicans. The program covers extensive upgrades to roads, drainage, water, sewage system, traffic management, and safety measures, while at the same time making provisions for broadband connectivity. And I want to spend a little bit of time on the broadband connectivity. There's a lot of discussion about Jamaica Eye and the rapid deployment of cameras. The rapid deployment of cameras depends on having broadband internet access easily available. And so, Mr. Speaker, it's not that the government doesn't want to spend on the cameras, but we first have to spend on putting in this backbone. And so every road that we're doing now, we are putting in the backbone so that we can rapidly expand the coverage of the cameras that we have. So, Mr. Speaker, all the roads that we're going to be doing under this will have three other components other than just the road. They will have sewage. They will have water improvements, and they will have provisions for broadband. So when we are doing these roads, we consider them not just roads, we consider them to be utility corridors. There's a fourth component which I would want to highlight. All of these roads will have some component of streetscaping. Streetscaping. You know, recently I saw a news report that Holland Bamboo in St. Elizabeth, a part of it was destroyed by fire, as it usually happens ever so often. But Holland Bamboo is probably one of the most beautiful streetscapes you can traverse in Jamaica. I mean, there are others. You have some lovely streetscapes going down the highways, seeing the sea, and so forth. On the new South Coast Road Improvement Project, lovely streetscapes. But when we build our new roads, Mr. Speaker, we don't take enough time to look at the soft infrastructure, putting in the trees to control the heat, putting in flowers for beautification, proper sidewalk, along with access, places for murals and paintings, just things that break the concrete and make the drive more appealing. So for these roads, particularly the ones that we're going to be doing in Kingston, the East Kings House Road, Lady Musgrave, and Arthur Wint, I have insisted, Mr. Speaker, that there is significant streetscaping to the point where we have already started to grow the trees that are going to be planted there. We have acquired a machine that will be able to not just, we won't be cutting down any trees that are already there. We will be able to take up the trees whole and transplant them somewhere, and if they can be brought back, then we will bring them back there. So we are making the provisions to ensure that these roadways are beautiful, that people can appreciate and feel the value of the infrastructure, not just from the convenience of driving, but from the peace of mind that you get from being in a space that takes into consideration the greenery and the environment. So, Mr. Speaker, the country should be aware that this project is well underway. Now, 3 of these 6 projects were specifically designated for Portmore, acknowledging its transition to a parish and the numerous development projects anticipated in the future. The first of these, the Grange Lane Dualization Project. The Grange Lane Dualization Project. You notice how everybody quiet now? Because, you know why they're quiet, Mr. Speaker? Because this government is building roads. This government is fixing roads, something that they could not do. So let's be clear. Grange Lane is 60% complete. 60% complete. This is not talk. Not just talking. 60% complete. Work started, 60% complete. Upon its completion, work will shift to the Brayton Road and sections of the Helsha Main Road Dualization Project, which is slated to begin in the 4th quarter of the 2024-2025 fiscal year. So work will begin this year on another road, major road, to alleviate traffic and congestion in Portmore. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, the Arthur Wint Drive Dualization Project has been expanded to include the stretch from Arthur Wint Drive through Tom Redcombe to Camp Road, alongside the installation of sewage systems and additional water lines. This expansion will greatly benefit residents, businesses, and developers in that area. The Arthur Wint Drive project is set to commence in the upcoming fiscal year along with the remaining CapEx projects such as the Sandy Gully Bridge upgrades and the new Portmore entrance development, both of which are currently undergoing investment appraisal. Mr. Speaker, I recognize that the simultaneous commencement of several large-scale projects may raise concerns. However, I assure you and the people of Jamaica that every effort will be made to carry out these projects with minimal disruption to daily life. The Special CapEx Program is a testament to the Government of Jamaica's commitment to modernizing our infrastructure, fostering future development, and enhancing the quality of life for all Jamaicans. Mr. Speaker, I also wanted to provide an update on our highway projects. You see how much roads we're doing? You asked what we did in 9 years? Oh, Lord. What, Mr. Speaker? Let them stand up and say what they did in their 18 and a half years and their 4 years. They can't compare. I know you don't like it when I speak. I know it's a frustration to you when we speak and show the facts. Mr. Speaker, you know, the spin ball is the most dangerous ball, you know. The spin ball, most dangerous. So, Mr. Speaker, as a reminder, the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project is a US $274 million design, build, construct contract with China Harbour Engineering Company. The project scope includes design and construction of the Montego Bay Bypass Road, 15.1 kilometers of roadway, the Barnett Street, West Green Avenue Road rehabilitation and expansion works, the design and construction of the Long Hill Bypass to reduce traffic congestion, and that is 10.5 kilometers of roadway, and a comprehensive drainage study of the Montego Bay Bypass area. Mr. Speaker, the Long Hill Bypass was originally designed as 2 lanes to be later expanded to 4 lanes. However, the government has decided to expand to 4 lanes now for significant cost savings and the benefits it will afford residents of St. James and indeed Westmoreland. I am pleased to report that the project is progressing well. The Montego River Bridge is 90% completed. I toured the bridge and it is a fantastic piece of infrastructure. It's the largest bridge in Jamaica. Fantastic piece of infrastructure. And the overall project, Mr. Speaker, is 55% complete. The project is scheduled to be completed in May 2026. Mr. Speaker, the South St. Elizabeth Extension Project intends to expand the Southern Coastal Highway from Williamsfield in Manchester along the south coast towards Hodges in St. Elizabeth, which is in the vicinity of the border of Westmoreland. The project includes bypass for major towns such as Junction, Southfield, and Black River. The project has gone through the PIAB process, that's the Public Investment Appraisal process, and the source of funding is being identified. We expect to tender this project during the 2025-2026 financial year. That's a major project, Mr. Speaker, that is going to extend the Williamsfield Highway all the way around to the border of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. Mr. Speaker, the North Coast Highway PPP project will see the expansion of the North Coast Highway from 2 to 4 lanes from Miami Bay to St. James. The government engaged the International Financial Corporation, the IFC, for transaction advisory services. During that process, legal and technical due diligence and social assessments were conducted. The concept design has been developed and the project is being prepared for tender in 2025-2026 financial year. This project aims to enhance transportation infrastructure, stimulate economic growth, and promote sustainable development along the North Coast. And I want to spend a little bit of time on this, Mr. Speaker. Recently, we saw several concerts and entertainment events held in that general region of Miami Bay, and it created significant congestion, real problems with traffic and congestion. We have this project here, Mr. Speaker, which will expand that roadway to the border of St. James to 4 lanes. It will improve traffic flow, but we bear in mind, Mr. Speaker, that along that roadway is an emerging urban center. And so the road is being designed with that in mind. So it will not necessarily be a highway, but it will be a main boulevard. But it will be designed in some places with grade separated interchanges and overpass so that there is not much interference with egress and entry onto the road. So that will give significant relief to the commuting public, and we will start that project. The intention is to begin that project in the next financial year. We're also looking to develop, Mr. Speaker, the St. Anne's Bay project, which is the St. Anne's Bay bypass. And this will be an extension to the North-South Highway from Miami Bay, traversing westward and parallel to the North Coast Highway through sections of St. Anne and terminate in the vicinity of Discovery Bay. The expansion will be a 30-kilometer 4-lane highway. The concept has been developed and the source of funding is being identified. So on that corridor, you will have a main boulevard which will carry traffic from the exit of the current North-South Highway in the Miami Bay vicinity all along. So that will be a very well-developed corridor. But we will also extend the current North-South Highway with a parallel highway. And so persons heading to St. James would not have to drive through Miami Bay. They could go straight on the highway and head into Montego Bay, because the intention is to develop that corridor into the new urban center. And it is not that the government is doing it in a sense, Mr. Speaker. It is that it has its own energy, and persons have already started to develop along the corridor. And so we bear that in mind as we develop the road. That is going to be the boulevard through a main urban center. So, Mr. Speaker, yes, there are challenges with roads. And I hope that today I've been able to put those challenges into the proper context and perspective. We take responsibility for the roads of Jamaica. We have to do that by ensuring that we have the financing to do it, that we follow the regulatory and compliance requirements to do it, and that we do it efficiently and equitably for the people of Jamaica. Balancing all of those are not simple tasks, but this government has done it very well with the challenges of climate and other shocks for which we have no control over. But by building resilience in our government, by ensuring that we manage the economy well, that we can set aside buffers in our budget, that for the first time we have a disaster fund, that we have for the first time a catastrophe bond. Jamaica is the first to do that in this region. To manage the capital budget in such a way, Mr. Speaker, that we convert the capital budget into real infrastructure. So that when the unexpected happens, we don't have to turn to anyone and say, all right, we have to borrow. Or if we borrow, it is on really good terms. That we can absorb the punches. And Mr. Speaker, that is what this administration is about. All that we have tried to do, Mr. Speaker, is to attain economic independence, to be able to stand up on our own 2 feet and pay our way through the world. Absorb the shocks, get up and go again and grow stronger. And that is what this administration has done. The road challenges, Mr. Speaker, are not of today. They are legacy challenges. And the solutions, Mr. Speaker, we will not be able to fix all of them with the snap of a finger and fix them today. But what we have demonstrated is a deep understanding of the problem, the capabilities to put in place the measures to solve the problem, the capabilities to run the economy, to create the revenues to solve them, and the capabilities to execute and have our roads repaired to the highest standard. Mr. Speaker, we are certain that we will deliver to the people of Jamaica the best quality roads in the region. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank members for their indulgence.
Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Turn the mic on.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has delivered a speech akin to a budget speech. Many of the things he included in his speech today are things that were in his budget speech last year in March. And we've heard it several times since. But you know, what that speech that the Prime Minister just made reflects is really a pretense at accepting responsibility, but in reality seeking to dodge responsibility. Climate change. To blame the appalling state of the road network in Jamaica today on climate change is just totally disingenuous. The reality is that there has been an absence of any proper road maintenance policy for years. And you have been in office for 9 years, so you have superintended 9 years of neglect over the maintenance of Jamaica's road network, for which the people are holding you accountable now. And that's just the reality of it. There used to be a road maintenance fund, which was established and funded to support road maintenance programs. That was put to an end under the JLP government to help to finance some of the loans that were taken from China, as it was in that case, to finance some of the major road projects. Jamaica's had decades of major road projects, but very little road maintenance. And what bothers me about your approach is that it's going to continue into the future if you are allowed to continue in government. There will be inadequate maintenance as a permanent feature of your government's regime, because you're continuing to be fixated on major road projects, because no doubt the benefits that flow, that can be the collateral benefits that flow from those major road projects, of which we are all aware. But the road maintenance, which is what the people want to see, the interior roads, the community roads, even the scheme roads, which you said the government is not responsible for. The government fixes the entire parameters of how roads are addressed in the country. The decision whether to take over or leave roads without any proper superintendent is a government decision. You can't shirk responsibility for scheme roads because you say developers developed it and it was never handed over. These are schemes which have been in this situation for year after year after year with no proper arrangement for dealing with the fixing of the roads in those schemes. So So, you said something about when you start to shout, you know, the stone lick. Well, apparently it doesn't lick. That's why you're shouting at me now. Yeah. So, Mr. Speaker.
Hold for me, please. Let us conduct ourselves in an honorable way. You may continue.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker.
Wait, man. No, there's a line.
This side there that climate change caused the bad roads in Jamaica. Mash down that lie. It has nothing to do with it. We have had heavy rain from time to time in Jamaica for years. Climate change is a reality and it's coming at us. But to blame the poor state of the road network of the country on climate change is a farce. And the people of Jamaica don't believe it.
Leader.
They're holding you accountable
Opposition
for it.
leader.
And for you to try and pretend that it's a PNP responsible for it.
Opposition
you've been in government
leader.
for 9 years. It just does not wash.
Member, you rise on a point of order or?
What's the point? What's the point?
What are you rising on?
What's the point of order? What is the point of
There's no
order?
such thing as a point of clarity.
Mr. Speaker,
The point of
What
order.
is the point of
the
order?
member
What's the
is
point of
misleading the
order?
House as it relates to housing scheme. And he knows that.
What's the
I
point of
brought a
order?
resolution here.
What's the point of order?
Is that are you rising a point of order?
Clarification, you can
No,
clarification.
no member.
That you brought a resolution here.
Member.
So what?
Point of order.
So what?
Point of order.
So what?
Point of order.
Point of order.
Members,
Many people bring
He
resolutions.
mentioned
here.
Let
the
us-
issue.
So what?
stop. I'm going to turn the mics. All right? I'm asking a question. If you allow me, you will hear. I am asking a question. Remember, you know. All right, I will overrule because he's having a side chat. You may continue.
He said you abandoned it. He said-
Finish the speech, man.
Yeah.
You don't have the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask that you allow me to finish.
No.
Are you now ready to take the point of order? All right. You may.
Mr. Speaker, because you're speaking, not abandoning this issue. He mentioned housing scheme that this government abandoned those housing schemes, not fixing them. Under the last government, I brought a private member's motion to state that the moment the first title is issued, they did not. Mr. Speaker, it's on the other paper now that once it's on the other paper now that government takes over housing scheme that they abandoned when I brought it here, and it's back on the other paper. Look here, I sent back on the banner about to England.
You may continue your presentation.
Talk about the people them over there. If you want to start the argument. Talk about the people them over there. Who have dual citizenship.
Mr. Speaker,
You want to talk
I
about
know
that?
discussions about resolutions brought here are neither here nor there. The reality is that Jamaica has a proliferation of schemes that were developed by private developers where the roads are in limbo. And you can't shirk responsibility as a government by saying, oh, that's the way it is. It's the duty of the government to fix the system if the system is flawed. The fact that you're very bad at fixing systems is no excuse. And that failure is replicated in many different areas in terms of how the state interfaces with the population, where there are all sorts of inefficiencies which people suffer from daily and need to be corrected, and you're very poor at correcting it. But the point about this is climate change is not the excuse. It's not an excuse that can absolve you from responsibility for your stewardship of the road network over the last 9 years. Highways have been built. Highways were built by many governments. The North Coast Highway was built by the PNP. The East-West Highway was built by the PNP. The North-South Highway was built by the PNP. So we're not, and you built some roads too, but the road network Despite the increase in fiscal space, which has been the legacy of the successful execution of the IMF program under the PNP administration of Portia Simpson Miller, after the Bruce Golding administration collapsed the program and couldn't cross it and had to give up on it, couldn't pass any test, we took it over and we set the groundwork. We did the heavy lifting. That is why the tax system was fixed by a proliferation of tax legislation and administrative changes, which have borne great fruit, where the revenue has increased year.
Member, if you notice your mic is off. I am saying to you, you were given 5 minutes to respond. You have used your 5 minutes. I am going. You were, by the bylaws, you have 5 minutes to respond it. You have used up your 5 minutes. I am going to give you another minute to wrap up and not more.
Thank you for the additional minute, Mr. Speaker. The point of the matter is this. Despite the growth in fiscal space, which is a result of the reforms and the successful execution of the IMF program under the Portia Simpson Miller administration, which has yielded a great legacy to this country, you have not used those resources on the road network. You have used it on a proliferation of other things. And to say that climate change is responsible for all of the potholes in the country is absolute nonsense. And the people don't believe it, and they don't accept it, and you're going to pay the consequences of it politically in the months to come.
As you can hear, my people, that's all for now, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Catch you in the